and the son of Deepak Chopra. He wrote the intro to the 7 Spiritual Laws of Superheroes, Deepak Chopra. Next, a man who needs no introduction, but I'll do it anyway. He's one of the most acclaimed and prolific comics writers of our time, author of Batman Arkham Asylum and the new book Super Guys. Please welcome Grant Morrison. Lastly, he has written over 55 books, been a best-selling author for decades. He's the founder of the Chopra Center for Wellness and the author of the new book, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Superheroes. Please give a warm Comic-Con welcome to Deepak Chopra. So guys, I guess Deepak and Grant, the last time you guys sat on a panel together, this books were born. Talk about that experience and how the discussion of that panel spurred you to write The 7 Spiritual Laws of Superhero and Super Guys.
I can start with last time. I'm clearly involved now, because your job is important, but last time I was the moderator, and now I get to be a panelist. But, you know, I think what happened during the last panel that we did a few years ago with Grant, and just getting to know Grant, and I've been a huge fanboy for a long time, so I've appreciated Grant from afar, and now getting to collaborate with him is incredible. But, you know, the first question during the Q&A session of the last panel, somebody got up, I don't know if you remember, and asked you guys if you believed in the religion of the Jedi. And I think that's when my dad realized that he was amongst his own. Because when I first dragged him down to Comic-Con a few years ago, he just could not understand why I was bringing him here, and I said, just trust me. And of course, we got to meet Grant and sort of saw that everything he's been talking about for 20 years, Grant has been talking about as well. And I think that's sort of where these ideas were born. And it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, we did those 2 panels, one in 1996 and one in 2006, one in 2008, which seems so long ago. That's how long it took to write these books. But certainly, the discussions we had sparked off all kinds of ideas, and the talks we had with the audience sparked off a lot of ideas. We felt it was important, I guess, both of us in our own different ways to do something with that. You know, I think we're talking about superpowers, we're talking about the potential for humanity to have a superpowered overview, an overlook, and we've used our own talents to try and, we've done it in our little backyard. We're writers and communicators, so we've used these books to try and communicate these ideas. Hopefully you guys will leave this room today and communicate the same kind of ideas to others and take them on in your own lives and spread the word. And let's superhumanize the planet.
At what point in each of your lives did you realize that superheroes were more than just tights and capes?
I was brought up in India with mythology that looked at the universe as an expression of gods and goddesses. And if you look at the word mythology, it comes from the word mother, mater, matter, music, measurement, time. Myth is the womb of creation, because we can't, there's no way we can imagine the infinite, but we would want to have a relationship with infinite potential. So in our collective imagination, we create these symbolic expressions, which in mythical traditions are called gods and goddesses. In Christianity, there are angels and fallen angels, of course. For every good guy, there's a bad guy. For every particle, there's an antiparticle. And the universe is a play between the forces of creativity and the forces of inertia. So I was brought up with that idea that gods and goddesses are not external beings, but they're an expression of yourself. And at some point, I'd like to actually take you through a little 2-minute exercise so you can see on the level of experience what I'm saying. Gautam, as a kid, was, when he was growing up, he wasn't doing that well in school because he would read comic books all the time. My wife would complain, and I would say to her, don't worry. She would say, he's not good at math. I said, don't worry, but when he grows up, he'll start a comic book company and he'll hire a mathematician to be his accountant. We actually ended up doing that. That's now Liquid Comics. And so, we all have a passion inside us that dreams of the impossible. And the impossible is just another word for what hasn't happened yet. The impossible is our highest yearning, our longing, our desire to go beyond the ordinary, mundane, average existence of life. And what we call superheroes are actually the great people in history, in mythology, in religion, and now in comic books, who are transforming the world. They're part of our collective imagination. And every child, by the way, as soon as a child is born, one of the first things that a child does is create images in its mind. It's such a natural thing. You don't have to learn how to make images. Okay, so every child has the capacity to make images, and then every child, in fact, not only makes images, but tells stories about those images. We are storytellers. Our life is a story. The more magnificent your story is, the bigger your reach is. So I think in a time where society is getting mixed up between celebrities and heroes, the age of the superheroes, as Grant said, is absolutely essential to change our planet right now. Because each superhero represents a capacity for the extraordinary.
Well, the question is, when did they stop being just capes and tights? Well, they were never just capes and tights for me. When I was a kid, I've told this story before, but for me the superhero was an idea which was able to defeat the atom bomb. My parents were anti-nuclear activists, and so in my house the bomb was this really unpleasant guest in the corner, this horrible spectre that we couldn't get rid of. We constantly standing there, terrified, frightening my parents and frightening me. And then I discovered Superman, and Superman can take an atom bomb in the face and laugh it off. Although I personally can't take an atom bomb in the face and laugh it off, the idea of Superman allowed me to understand that there were things inside my imagination that were stronger and more transcendent than the bomb. And I became fascinated with the notion that we could embody that on a piece of paper. As Deepak says, imagination is the big thing that we have as a human species, and it's how we relate to matter. We can transform anything using our imagination. We are the only animals, as far as we know, that look at things and turn them into art. We build cathedrals, we create comic books, we create ideas of transcendence that we then try to live up to. So for me, those comics particularly gave me a way of transforming the world into something much more powerful and potent. And I've been interested recently, as I was finishing off the book Super Gods, I discovered that the US Defense Department are now using this thing they call counter-narrative strategies. Right? And basically what they're saying is that the human beings are driven by the stories they tell themselves. And what they're actually trying to do is develop anti-terrorist stories that undermine religious perspectives or undermine political perspectives that lead to terror. So this has actually been developed as a technology by our military. And I happen to think that these things belong to all of us, and we really need to, while they're doing that over there, we need to reclaim the idea that our stories can ennoble our lives and transform all of us. And I think superhero stories are certainly the popular leading edge of that, and that's why we should be paying a lot more attention to them and seeing how we can apply those lessons and those big ideas and those big imaginative notions into our lives to transform them.
That's a top.